Now, I don't need to tell any of you how popular crypto and digital assets are. And in my community, everyone says, look at the change of administration in the US last year. Look at what Chair Pham is doing in the CFTC, particularly with respect to crypto exchanges. And look at Chair Atkins. Non custodial wallet is the right of every American, accelerating policy. But I have to tell you something. It all started here, and it started with this man in 2015 when he was the CEO of the ADGM FSRA and the regulator here, and brought in the fintech framework, REITs, APIs, and of course went on to become the CEO of Binance, the world's largest central crypto exchange. And the FSRA has just kept going with its digital asset framework, asset reference token framework. It's really been outstanding. And so this is a highlight for me because we're sharing now 10 years of history together and of working together and having done all of these things. And when we were coming on today saying, this started as a fintech conference in 2018 that was 2 days. And look at the island now. Look at the infrastructure. So, Richard, welcome. Let's start off with giving the audience your thoughts of exactly where we are now that we're growing up with respect to building infrastructure and really building ties into the institutional financial markets.
Well, so first of all, greetings everyone. Salam alaikum. It's very good to be back at ADGM, right? So, to me, if you look at the journey so far, it has always been about building. So building through the ages, I got involved in crypto right about 2017, and then I pushed for crypto adoption and regulations here in Abu Dhabi in 2018, right? So we became one of the first in the world to start regulating crypto sector. What goes around comes around. The framework that I started then now is regulating Binance on a global level, right? So, but if you look at crypto journey, right? So from very early days, ICOs to DeFi to stable coins, we keep finding new things that solve problems, solve pain points throughout the world, right? So, and the acceleration may come later, but the foundations are always laid very early on. If you look at stable coins, they've been around for a long time, but it's only now that you see mass adoption and rapid acceleration once the regulatory clarity come true on that front. Right? Same for things like crypto payments. Have been around for a long time, but now you're seeing that rapid adoption. On the Binance front, we started the year with 12,000 merchants around the world accepting Binance Pay. Now we are close to 21 million merchants. So you see that pace of rapid growth, right? Again, things like tokenization have been existing around, but it takes a long time to impart that knowledge and to highlight to people that this is a far superior technology that solve many of the pain points in different parts of the world, in many different organizations. If you look at financial institution, media and back office today, right? They are doing accounting, reconciliation, settlement. Most of those can be replaced if you rethink the future by AI and blockchain, right? So if you rethink the future of many economic sector, they can be rebuilt using AI and blockchain technology. So that's what's going to be very exciting in the next phase.
And you raise a good point. It's, I think, for most of our learned audience, stablecoins have been really the killer Web3 application. Digital money, the on rails or on ramp, off ramp, etc. For fiat. And I know we were speaking in my institutional space. Tokenized money market fund. Collateral eligibility is really big, but what are the ties that you're seeing, particularly between central exchanges, DeFi protocols, and the financial institutions of the world? Wall Street, the City of London.
Well, so if you look at the decentralization tech, right, it's talking about the technology and the infrastructure layer. But access can be centralized. So, for example, Binance is the largest centralized exchange in the world. We announced that we have just crossed a key threshold of 300 million global customers. So we are very grateful to our users and community. I'm sure quite a fair bit of people here use Binance as well. So very, very grateful for your support on that front. But we continue to push the agenda on that front. So what we want to do is to build the most secure, most compliant, the best-in-class platform in terms of product features for users, but at the same time bring about the convergence between the Web 2 space and the Web 3 space, right? So we're working with the likes of Franklin Templeton, I know Jenny is here, likes of BlackRock and many others, right? To bring about that, because we are seeing that convergence coming through very, very quickly now with regulatory clarity and regulatory support. But we're also building ourselves out to be the best CDFI platform, bring together the best of centralized features as well as decentralized and DeFi features on that front, right? So if you look at, we roll out things like our Web3 wallet, Binance Alpha, that's extremely popular, allowing our users early access to very promising tokens for the future. So those are extremely popular for our users, right? So we continue to push the agenda in terms of product features to make sure that we meet the needs, the fast-growing needs of our users.
Yeah, no, I think those, those releases on your relationship with Franklin Templeton, BlackRock, really, raised a lot of eyes and said, okay, now we are here. We're at the, stage of the ecosystem where we've got better integration with highly regulated financial institutions. But, the number of announcements you've had in the past couple of weeks have been breathtaking for me. Yeehee's now taking on the co-CEO role as a Binance co-founder. But coming here yesterday morning now, and this comes full circle, hearing that Binance now will be globally regulated by the FSRA here at ADGM has got to be the biggest news for all of us folks that spend a lot of time with policymakers and regulators. How has that relationship, I think, changed? I mean, and everybody talks about the SEC or the CFTC in the US, but are regulators really now, leaning into this space and recognizing the benefits that digital finance and assets offer to society?
So if you look at Abu Dhabi, it has always been at the forefront of embracing technology, right? Whether it's blockchain, whether it's AI, and all this new emerging technology, Abu Dhabi has a very pro-innovation approach and putting itself to work very early on, even before the rest embrace it, right? So UAE has a Minister of AI, which you don't see anywhere else in the world. It just shows how foresightful the entire country is, how foresightful the Abu Dhabi is on that front. So this is one of the first country in the world, and Abu Dhabi is the first jurisdiction in the world to start regulating the crypto sector. And my thesis then was very simple, right? So if you look at crypto, it has always been embraced by retail for the longest time. Institutions are saying that it's a passing fad, it'll go away. Regulators are not spending time on it. But we always believe, especially at ADGM, this will be the future of finance. But it needs clarity on two fronts. First, you need regulatory clarity. With that, then the mass adoption will come through very quickly. Secondly, you need institutional adoption. Because when it's just merely a retail play, things can get volatile. You don't have enough breadth and depth of the marketplace. But with institution coming through, different investment pattern, different duration, etc., then it becomes a healthier marketplace, right? So we are seeing both of that dimension coming through in 2024, last year. And hence, you see the mass adoption coming through now, right? So we are very, very grateful with the support of Abu Dhabi and partnership. We became first in the world to announce this very comprehensive regulatory approval from Abu Dhabi FSRA. People know that it's a very well-respected regulator throughout the world. And we serve our global users using this platform. FSRA will regulate us, end-to-end, including our global liquidity on that front. So we continue to push ahead and hold ourselves to the highest standards in terms of things like compliance, risk management, investment protection on that front. And that will really bring together, I mentioned, bring about the convergence of Web 2, Web 3 space. A lot of global institutions, a lot of global corporates are looking at, very credible licensing regime and credible license entity like ourselves. So even before this global license, we are the most regulated exchange globally. We are regulated in 21 different local jurisdictions. But this represents a very significant milestone for ourselves, where is it on a global basis, we are regulated, right? So is our ambition to the world as we work towards 1 billion users.
And I think it is. It is, you know, it really is revolutionary on the regulatory front because, to the larger extent, you've got a conduct regulator regulating you here globally, which gives a degree of conviction to other regulators or other jurisdictions that you're, you know, going to be going to or operating in. So it is almost a bit like a functional equivalence, isn't it? So how will that actually work when it comes to other regulators around the world, like the, you know, CFTC, the SEC, the FCA, with the FSRA now regulating you globally?
Well, certainly. So I think many of the regulators around the world can take comfort that, you know, we went through quite a long process with the FSRA, showing them, doing walkthroughs, showcasing all our expertise in different areas, right? So from our wallet custody to security function to compliance, how we do KYB, KYC, transaction monitoring, market surveillance, to things like our listing process, right? So it's an end-to-end regulation. And because we hold 3 different licenses that covers all our different clienteles, right? So first, an investment exchange that cover all our trading business, investment exchange business. The second is a clearinghouse that cover our settlement custody. And then third is a broking house, right? So cover our trade arrangement facilitation on that front. So it's an end-to-end process. So FSRA has many regulatory working arrangement, MOUs with global regulators around the world. So global regulators can take comfort that we are holding ourselves to that highest standard, right? That other regulators are familiar with. So we're in a form and shape and governance structure that regulators can take comfort. And that's what many of the global partners are looking out for as well, right? So we are very pleased with this outcome.
Well, we'll look forward to that and hopefully see maybe some global passporting regimes develop on the back of that. Now, I know we only have a minute left, so I'd like to ask you about where you think the future is going. And so I'll come back to 1010, where we had this, you know, great, you know, volatility in crypto prices, to which I said to my own community, well, boy, when you've got a 24/7 asset, and, you know, news pops, the market needs to sell off on a Friday night, crypto is likely going to be the canary in the coal mine. But, you know, on from that and the rebuilding the next, you know, generation of infrastructure, can you just give us your views on what the future is looking like for crypto?
Well, so 1010 is not a crypto event, it's a market event, right? So you have all the different asset class. If you look at US equity that day, it lost 1.5 trillion in value, right? So you saw about 150 billion of liquidation in US equities alone. Crypto was affected to a smaller scale, about 19 billion. So I just wanted to correct that. It's not quite a crypto event. It happens across different asset class. But it's all about building, right? So I still feel that the momentum is very strong. The drivers are very strong within the industry. If you look at all the key use cases, they are going through mass adoption. Yesterday at Bitcoin Miner, CZ believed that we may not see the 4-year typical cycle in crypto. Next year could be a super year for crypto. So who knows? We can't predict that. But if you look at stable coins, skyrocketed through the roof in terms of transaction volume. Jeremy on Circle will tell you a bit more about that front. Crypto payments, again, global adoption coming through in a very fast way. Tokenization, another key use of blockchain. And you have many key use cases in DeFi all coming through in a very sharp fashion, right? So next year, I believe the momentum is still going to be very strong. And with greater regulatory clarity and partnerships throughout the world, we believe that, you know, the momentum and drivers and the long-term prospects for crypto continue to be very bullish.
And with the S&P forecast to go up 20% next year, if Bitcoin's correlated to it, that's an interesting forecast. So, right, and absolutely a comment about the market asset class failure on 1010. But can I say thank you very much, Richard Teng? What a pleasure to speak with you here today, sir. I only wish we had a bit more time. I know we need to get off stage now. So,
Thank you.
and thank you for listening.